Rigging a biped is very similar to rigging a simple tube-like shape, just with a little bit more hierarchical commitment between the different extremities. So I've got a character rig here. It's using the simple biped from a previous video, and I've built out a rig that looks a little bit like a simple scarecrow shape. Simple torso, shoulders, head, 2 arms, 2 legs, etc., and so forth. I've set up IK handles so that we can move the arms all around. I've set up pull targets so that we can twist the arms and rotate. I've set up a mover so that way we can move the whole shape all around. And that's what we're going to do in the next collection of videos. So to get started, I'm going to remove all of the wonderful work that you see here by right-clicking on my armature and hitting delete. For you to get started, you'll be working with your biped figure from previous exercise. So load that one up and you can follow along. The work that we do here will be delivered and work with your exercise. So I will go into 4 views just because I'll be bouncing back and forth between these different views. Select my character, hit the period key on my numpad just to zoom in on that. And we're going to begin by creating a few bones. To add those bones, we're going to add an armature. So with the character selected, I'm going to add armature, and I have that there. I'm going to move this bone to begin with up into kind of we'll call it the pelvic region of the character, and I'm going to go into edit mode so that way I can start modifying this bone. My armature should be set to view on top, so let's do view in front. So that's over in the object properties, viewport display, view in front or show in front, and that way I can always see my bones. I'm going to select the end and press the E key and then Z to hold it, and I'm going to build out one for, say, the torso. That's going to go up to right around the kind of the bottom of the breast line. Click. Then I'm going to, whoops, let's not do that. Let's go back to my solid shape. Then I'm going to press the E key again to extend out another bone, and I'm going to press the Z key to lock that in a perfect vertical position. Now over here you can see my character is pretty straight. Sometimes your character will have a more pronounced like hip area, maybe a more convex back, shoulders, etc. Mine's pretty straight, so if we really wanted to come into the side view and kind of bend some of these around, some artists prefer to give a little bit of a curve to the spine like a normal human. Maybe take the hips and kind of curve them back. I'd say it's up to you, but it's really just something you'll develop with experience. For this shape, you can leave it pretty set and solid. It's not going to hurt anything for these to be straight up and down. If you want to curve them, go for it. All right, now I'm up to the neck area, and I'm going to continue up through the neck. E key. Oops, got 2 of those there, pardon me. Let's make sure I've only selected that end area. E key to bring that out. We're going to bend that neck towards the head. E key once again. Oops, pardon me with that press. Let's press the Z key. There we go. About there. And then I can always move it accordingly. So I want the head bone to go pretty much to the top of the skull, and that takes care of that first chain. Now as we're doing this, as a reminder, it's making all of these bones that we're going to end up naming later. And it looks like I got one of these bones out of sequence. This bone 5, there's a bone 4. Let me just get rid of these guys so I can delete this one. I got like an extra bone in here if you notice. And I don't want that one. So let's dissolve selected bones. Let's delete selected bones. And let's just make sure that we're all okay there. So I must have gotten an extra bone in there. It's not delete selected bones with the right click. Delete selected bones. There we go. So it's a little bit of a distraction, but not a bad process to understand how to delete bones. So if you get a little bit excited with your E clicks and maybe you don't drag out a bone, open up your bone hierarchy and make sure you don't have any bones that you don't need. This should be a very clear move between bone 1, 2, 3, and so forth. My numbering got a little bit off because I added a few extras in there. So you can also dissolve bones together by selecting them and dissolving, that sort of thing. So you can explore some of those features on your own if you're finding this is an issue for you. All right, let's keep it going. Off of the kind of this chest bone, we're going to create a shoulder. So I'm going to select the very end of that string, and I'm going to press the E key, and I'm going to drag out to about the armpit area. Hold Shift and middle mouse click to move over, and then E once again to drag out a bicep bone, E to drag out an elbow joint. Pretty small on that one. That just gives us a little bit of extra bending room so that way our elbow doesn't get too pinched. E again to drag out the forearm. Maybe position that a little bit better in the top view. E again, whoops, got a little crazy on that, to drag out the palm, about there, and E one last time to drag out to the fingers. Now I like to push my bones just slightly past the tip of the geometry. It just seems to get those last few vertices in an auto weight a little bit better, but it's just a preference that you'll discover over time. Open up your channel and just make sure you didn't get anything wacky in there. Maybe click through these and just make sure you don't do what I did in the spine and make extra bones. All right, arm is looking pretty good. Now we need a leg as well. Now the leg we're going to build off of this hip bone, but we want to detach the hip bone. We don't want it to necessarily just kind of drag out here unless sometimes you prefer, but I tend to just kind of move out a series of bones from the hip, rather from kind of the pelvis here to start that line on the hip. So to get this into position, I've grabbed my kind of pelvic bone here, and I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate that bone. And I'm going to start it right at kind of the crotch, the groin area, and then I'm going to move the target of the bone downward. So this is something where really the orientation of the bone hasn't mattered up until now. But if I left that pointed upward, the parenting chain might be inverted. So I just took the top target joint and just dragged it down so the bone orients itself naturally towards the bottom of the leg. In the right ortho view, we'll press E one more time and drag out, say, a kneecap. E key, drag out one more time, drag out a calf. E key one more time, drag out an ankle. E key one more time and drag out a full foot. It's up to you if you want some little toes sticking out there. These are kind of shoe-like feet. They don't have, a lot of detail, so I think one bone down in the foot is just fine. All right, now if you notice, I've only done the left side of my character or the right side of my screen, and that's because we're going to end up mirroring all these bones once we get them perfectly set up. So do not go and do the other side of your character yet. We're going to have a tool to get that done quickly for us. So that's it on this step. Next up, we'll be looking at naming the bones, setting up the IK, and then finally doing the mirror to complete the armature.